come up though. I don't really care.
I really wanted to see what they had to say.
Yo, hello?
Hello.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Okay, so let's get it, bro. Yeah, like we can talk about Hiruzen versus Itachi, bro. I think Itachi just slams him, bro.
All right, it's part one knowledge only.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so what's your argument for, or
Yeah, I
what's
think
the reason
Itachi's the
for?
strongest in the verse. So are you aware in the beginning of basically the first chapter, they say it took the combined efforts of the entire village to defeat Kurama, including the fourth Hokage. Yeah, it stated that Itachi would be able to stalemate Kurama.
When is it stated that he was stalemate Kurama? In what
When he was
sense?
talking to Kisame, he talks about capturing Naruto. He's like, yeah, it would be a very like difficult fight with either one of us ending up dying. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that. Can you
Yeah.
show me that?
How do I show you that?
You have camera access or something like
All right,
that?
I got you. I got you. Hold on. Let me get my like laptop or some shit, bro. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, who's in the live right now, bro? Bro.
Hold on, bro. I'm in a random spot, bro. I gotta go to my house.
Hold on.
Ugh. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Bats, if this barn isn't finished, bro, like, bro, I'm not gonna lie. All that TNT under your house, I'm just letting you know. Boom, 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 boom.
Bro, what am I finishing?
Oh, you're not finished. I mean, oh, bro, whatever. Just bring the animals in there, bro. Did you take the cow that was in here?
Yes, the animal's already in here. I've
All
held
right,
him.
bet, bro. Breed them Jones, bro. Breed them Jones, bro. Oh, God, bro.
It's like, hello, sheep. Hello, cow.
Bro, breed them, bro. Thank you, bro. I finally could take like these lame ass fences like away from my crib. Not gonna lie.
I'm back. Hold on, my bad, bro. I was looking for the scan. I got it, but hold on. Let me just load it up. Where's my Wi-Fi at, bro? Hold on. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on.
Yo,
Why is
360 no scope. Stop talking to infinity, bro. Let that
me?
dude be, bro. No. I'm talking about 360 no scope, bro.
Yo, that guy went on like a 10-minute glazing session, bro. That was like weird as fuck, bro.
Hey, man.
All right. Hold on. Let me turn on my camera, bro. Give me a sec.
Whatever.
I can't turn on my camera.
Fuck.
Hold on. Why can't I turn on my camera, bro?
Not sure, buddy.
Oh, I think it's because I got live restricted, but
You want to send it to me on Discord or something?
yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Let me
I
send
can
it to you.
send my Discord. My
All
Discord
right.
and chat. What does KCM stand for? Kurama Chakra mode? I don't fucking know.
Oh,
It's his
Tensei.
first form with the, like Kurama shit. I'm not
Tensei
Tensei.
Xavier, bro. I got you. Wait,
Yeah,
you're not Tensei?
I'm not the bleach debater Tensei.
No, I know. I don't
Okay,
Tensei.
yeah.
Friends. Add friend.
QB Chakra mode, I think that's what it's called. I did not search that up. I'm like dead ass trying to remember.
All right, I got you, man. All right, sent you a request, bro. Accept.
Yo, I need to take a shit. I added you. Oh wait,
bro.
Accept. Why is it giving me a warning?
I don't know, bro. We move in silence, bro. The mafia. But here you go, bro. So, do me a favor, bro. Read this shit out for me, bro.
Read that shit out for you?
Yeah,
The
bro.
fuck? Did you not already read it?
No, I read it for you. I'm just telling you, like, just you can read it to the audience if you want. I can read it for you. Even if
No, it's
like
fine.
so Kisame and Itachi are talking, even if you might be able to take him on, I'm not so sure about me. He's in a different league. Yeah, if we faced off, we might end up killing each other. At the very least, we'd hurt each other very badly. And even if I had more backup, it probably wouldn't change the outcome. It was great finally finding out the ramen shop, but his babysitter was one of the three shinobi of the Konoha legend. So it's not talking about Jiraiya here, it's talking about Kurama. And
I don't, yeah. Because I think it's a bit of a, well, with the shit you said initially, it's a bit of an equivocation between a couple things. Because like the village versus Kurama is not a power benchmark against like individuals.
Why not?
Because the statement that you're taking it from, where it just took the combined efforts of the village plus the fourth Hokage to deal with Kurama, refers to the containment and sealing, and
Not
it's not to like overpowering Kurama in any like in an
not.
open
You
combat
don't think
scenario.
that to hold on. You don't think that to overpower or imprison it that requires strength and power?
Sorry, I gotta expand you. To overpower that requires strength and power.
Yeah.
Well, no, because
You don't
overpowering
think so?
yeah.
So how do
Let
you
me
seal
respond.
it?
Let me respond. So I think I disagree, guys, because overpowering and my bad, you like your notification bugged me, but no, because overpowering and imprisoning Kurama was not like a greater display of raw strength. Like it was the opposite of that. Like it just bypassed that bypass. It was a bypass of strength entirely because you're kind of collapsing. There's like distinct concepts that you're collapsing. And when the first one would just be sealing, like that's not necessarily overpowering because what's it called, funjutsu, like that doesn't require superior physicals or chakra
I'm
output
not. That
relative
doesn't
to the
matter.
target. And it
That doesn't
yeah,
matter.
hold on, and like also the second would be the village's effort was about control and containment, and the third one would be Minato's success proves the opposite of your claim, and the fourth would just be like your inference just to me appears like as a category error because your reasoning is just basically Kurama required village level response, therefore defeating or containing Kurama requires village level power.
Yeah, there's a few issues with that. I don't really care about physicals for the most part. A lot of these ninjas utilize jutsu and stuff like that that doesn't support conventional AP. If you also look at the statement supporting the claim, it talks about directly Kurama's power and explains feats of Kurama's power, so therefore it's probably more reasonable to explain that this scan is talking about how strong Kurama is. And because of that, I think it's pretty like logical to say that Kurama is that powerful where he needs to be taken on. And also, yeah, like sealing jutsus outright needs strength. For example, we see this in the Orochimaru fight with Hiruzen, where in order to seal him, it was based on chakra and like feats of strength. So like this idea that it was like it doesn't matter because it was just imprisonment and sealing. Well, that's just wrong because you still need demonstrations of strength. If anything, it would be even tougher to kill Kurama because and the only thing they could resort to was sealing him. So if anything, that just means Kurama's above the village. So if anything, you're helping me there because the only way they saw fit to defeat him was to seal him.
Okay, no, I disagree because, sorry, I disagree because it just fails. Yeah, it just fails because you're basically going from you're sliding from sealing invokes or sealing involves chakra expenditure and to like sealing implies superior power over the sealed entity, and that inference is invalid, and I'll tell you why. Because you're
That
equivocating on
wasn't my claim.
strength. You're equivocating on strength. You're basically saying you don't care about physicals, then immediately you're reintroducing strength by treating chakra expending.
Those aren't physicals. I already
Yeah,
explained to you like
stop.
strength can be demonstrated from jutsus. Like you're
So
just
stop. So
strawmanning the
stop.
argument.
So you're treating strength by treating chakra, the expending of chakra as dominance over chakra. I mean, as dominance over Kurama. So chakra cost is not the same thing as comparative power.
Hey,
And
but is this
also,
a W strawman, bro?
okay, reiterate your claim then.
Yeah. So you don't remember what I said? For one, I literally told you. I explained to you what I mean by power and strength. It doesn't necessarily have to entail physicals. I told you I don't care about physicals because most ninjas use jutsus and they use stuff that's outside of conventional physical AP and physical stats. Furthermore, I was literally telling you the opposite, where I was telling you, if anything, the fact that the ninjas had to resort to sealing him entails to us that they couldn't defeat him by normative means and they had to resort to this other method. So, if anything, it would just prove that Kurama's stronger than the entirety of the village. So, yeah, like given that Itachi can stalemate it, it would just logically like succeed to us that Itachi's stronger than the entirety of the village and a much younger Hiruzen, which means he
I'll
would
respond to that, but let's go. I'll respond to that.
Okay.
But like you're saying, the Hiruzen versus Orochimaru seal, like it doesn't rescue your position because the Reaper Death Seal it requires chakra to sustain the technique and physical contact to anchor the seal. So none of that implies Hiruzen was overpowering Orochimaru. In fact, the opposite is literally stated in the text of the situation because Hiruzen could not defeat Orochimaru directly, so he resorted to a rule-based
Is
technique.
that a concession?
No, no, no. That's
Dog,
the
you just
scenario.
conceded.
No, that's dependent on his mental state at that moment. So listen, relax yourself. So if sealing equals superior power, what you're trying to say so, then suicidal techniques would be unnecessary, and they exist precisely. Basically, they exist precisely because power parity or inferiority is acknowledged in an aspect.
All
So you're if like when you say if anything like when you keep on saying like if anything you're like helping me that's self-destructive because you're arguing
Self-destructive.
Kurama is so powerful. You're arguing Kurama is so powerful they had to seal him. Therefore, Kurama is above and is above release and overpowering him was impossible. And
All
also
right.
like let me respond to the shit that you like literally had just said. So the conclusion still doesn't follow from the shit that you just said. I'm gonna try to remember. So you basically just redefined power. And that shit doesn't really save the inference, at least in my eyes. Because I mean, I accept your definition that power is like not limited to the physical AP. I think I agree with that, but that concession doesn't really help you because even under like a jutsu based, do you have a problem with yourself? Like, why are you like constantly making like weird laughing
I'm
noises?
just I'm not my bad, bro. Like something
Yeah,
happened. I
that
just
shit is like
decided.
that shit is really weird, man.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, so, anyways, as I was saying, I think I said I accept your definition that power is not limited to physical AP, but that concession doesn't help you because even under a jutsu-based or chakra-based notion of power, it still I got restricted. It still does not follow that ceiling implies inferiority of the village or superiority of Kurama in total combat power. And your inference is basically your inference is still the village could not defeat Kurama by normative means. Therefore, Kurama is stronger than the entire village in all relevance or in all relevant respects. That is just invalid because the inability to resolve a problem by one class of methods does not entail inferiority in total capability. It only entails that those methods are non-optimal against like that target. So normative means, quote unquote, whatever, normative means is just doing some work and it's like undefined in that aspect. You keep saying the village could not defeat Kurama by normative means, but you never justify what counts as normative or maybe like why killing is is the relevant.
All right, are you finished?
Mm-hmm.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
All right, I got you. I'll explain to you why you conceded. So the example that you gave me with here's an example to prove that it's not like a strength of like my bad. It's not a power based thing. Just helps you because it just concedes the point directly, like the thing that you're just putting into question right now. Because you were saying because Hiruzen wasn't strong enough, and it was said that he wasn't strong enough to defeat Orochimaru, he had to resort to using the seal the same way the fourth Hokage did. Do you understand how that translates here? Because in the same way that Hiruzen wasn't strong enough to defeat him and needed to resort to that thing, the village was not strong enough to defeat Kurama. Therefore, they had to also resort to that thing. That's why I'm telling you the correlation is there, and that's why the concession is there, and that's why I don't need to prove that claim because that example you just provided to me just completely proves my claim like right off the bat. So, if that's the case, and the power example is there, I don't think you even tracked my point because you're trying to use that as somehow the inference to my argument, which just is not the case. I'm literally just telling you that the fact that for one, that their standard combative capabilities wasn't enough to defeat Kurama just proves to them that they don't have the combative capability to match someone who does have the combative capability of fighting Kurama, which is Itachi. Therefore, Itachi's combative capability is significantly higher than that of Hiruzen's. And because of that, one, you conceded, two, you didn't track my argument, and three,
You already said that.
I just gave
Okay.
you the evidence. Yeah.
You already said that. You already said
Okay.
that. Okay.
There you
So
go.
that correlation is just false, and your conclusion still does not follow.
My bad.
You're equivocating on what sealing signifies. So Hiruzen resorting to the Reaper Death Seal against Orochimaru does not mean Orochimaru was categorically stronger than Hiruzen. It just means that Hiruzen was operating under internal limiters explicitly stated in text: age, chakra, decline, emotional
But
restraint,
what
and
does
time.
that
Shut
translate to?
up! Stop! That's not a backtrack. Did you say back? Wait, hold on. My bad. I didn't mean to unmute. Unmute. You said backtrack.
No, I said, what does that translate to? Is it not strength, like age and stuff like that? That's literally just a reflection of his strength. Those things diminish his strength. Those are conditions. Yeah, I agree. But if anything, that still proves my point.
No, that's fine. We don't have to talk about the age. I'm just saying chakra decline, emotional restraint, and time pressure.
Still
Fuck the
all
age thing.
strength.
No, yeah. But that's
So
depend.
you concede
That's
again.
still no. That's not a concession. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
My
So
bad,
it still
bro.
does not prove that Orochimaru was categorically stronger than Hiruzen. You're not tracking. So it still just means that Hiruzen was operating under an internal limiter or internal limiters explicitly stated in the text. Like I said, chakra decline, time pressure. What else did I say? Emotional restraint. So the seal is chosen in that scenario because of the contextual degradation Like not because like Orochimaru exceeds Hiruzen's like theoretical ceiling or whatever may be the case, right? So the village ceiling Kurama is not analogous, and the reason for that is because a Biju's rampage plus civilian presence and plus massive collateral risk and plus no allowance for prolonged combat and a requirement for immediate containment, all of those things are all of those things are not parallel constraints. Like that's just not parallel constraints, and you can't transfer conclusions across across like non scenarios. So like saying not enough means or like not enough to beat by like standard means that doesn't entail inferior overall. Your core inference is basically is that like a rhetorical laugh? Like, okay, so your core inference is A could not defeat X using standard combat, therefore X is stronger than A in total capability. That inference is invalid. It confuses method insufficiency with agent inferiority. So the standard combat feeling only showcases that like a class of method is non-optimal. So it says nothing, like this tells us nothing about ceiling, binding, suppression, or rule-based resolution. Hold on, I gotta appeal this restriction. Yeah, okay. It tells us nothing about like those primaries, like solutions to like the Biju threats, right? So whatever, right? And like you're leaping to Itachi to try to like wrap this all together, right? So basically, and the reason why like even if I granted purely for the argument that Kurama exceeds the village in destructive magnitude, it still doesn't follow that Itachi exceeds the village and you can ask why. Why is that the case? Because the village manages Kurama under crisis conditions, and Itachi's interaction with Kurama is conditional and ocular. And Itachi does not defeat, seal, or permanently neutralize Kurama at all. Interaction is not dominance. So you are literally just committing the exact error that I already flagged earlier, treating interaction as ontological parity. So your own framing literally destroys your own conclusion. You just fucking slap yourself in the face. So you are literally saying, you say sealing proves the village lacked the capability to match Kurama. Fine, but then you assert that Itachi has the capability to fight Kurama. That claim is just unsupported. So show where Itachi overpowers Kurama, permanently neutralizes Kurama, demonstrates inevitability against Kurama, and honestly, I don't even think you can. So at best, you have situational influence or whatever may be the case, and influence is not superiority. So I mean, and also I have a question at the end of this. So where does sealing logically entail categorical inferiority rather than contextual necessity?
All right, is he finished? All right, I got you, bro. Okay, so for one, there's a few problems with what you said. The counter example that you gave for the here's an example with like saying age, time constraints, blah 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 blah, or chakra diminishment and emotional limitations. All of those things translate to strength. So anything that like anyways they help me. For example, age directly translates into his strength. He's weakened because of his old age. Yeah, that makes him physically weaker and therefore like translates to that. You want to talk about his emotional constraints? That also affects his chakra control and stuff like that. And his diminishment of chakra also helps with that. So all of those things are already translated into strength anyway. So I don't know why like you brought up those to make like some form of symmetry breaker to my argument when it just doesn't provide a symmetry breaker. Also, the claim that the only relevant one maybe is like time constraints, which really isn't even the case because Hiruzen literally says that he doesn't have the chakra to fully seal him, implying that it's some form of full weakness. They were literally in a stalemate for a long period of time. So if Hiruzen had the capacity to kill him, he would have killed him to just finish the fight. But clearly he doesn't. So therefore the time constraint thing doesn't matter. And that's the only one that's not directly translatable to strength. So therefore those conditions that you provided for that situation don't actually matter. So therefore that example completely translates, and that's that concession that you still provided that Hiruzen only used the sealing jutsu because he wasn't strong enough to use to overpower him in a standard fight would apply here. Furthermore, back to the next situation about Kurama and the village. For one, I don't know why the fourth Hokage would decide to sacrifice himself to the village if he could just standardly overpower um, Kurama, and like the same thing would apply to the village. Like if they could just do that, they would have done that. They would have not had to like sacrifice their most powerful fighter. That doesn't make any sense to me. And the reason why this translates to Itachi is literally the first scan I showed you, where Itachi and Kisame both agree that Itachi would have the strength to stalemate Kurama, and that he would overpower him in like either a standard fight or they would both come out of it like significantly injured. So clearly, my examples all still stay and abide, and because of that, I just think that Itachi would also translate to that, given the statement that I provided to you earlier, and that they would not be able to match it in combative capability. So given that all the village so given that all the village um cannot defeat Kurama in a combative sense, and that's something you agree to, or even like Steelman for me to prevent the strongest argument. If
Yeah, I'm
that
not
is the
gonna lie.
case,
Like all that stuttering is really pissing me off. Let me like
I'm
just
not
stop.
stuttering for you. I don't know why you said that. Like you were stuttering the whole time, and I let you speak.
Yeah, like that shit is
Like you
like
were
really
stumbling
pissing
over
me off. So
yourself,
let
and
me
you're stuttering too
respond
like
to
a
like
retard. I don't
because
know.
you like straw man my argument. So like okay.
Where does
So
straw man you?
basically, I'll tell you. Let me concede to like the straw man. I don't want to say straw man immediately because I just think you got confused on something. So it still doesn't follow as to what you were saying. So I mean, when you say like your everything translates to strength, like that just doesn't work because you say like age, chakra decline, or emotional like forget age. You say chakra decline, emotional restraint, and fatigue all translate to strength. Therefore, there's no symmetry breaker, and that is false because you are equivocating between capacity and output. Age reduction or age reduces the stamina and recovery, right? And then like we say
Strength.
emotional restraint, emotional restraint. You say strength as well.
Those are all correlated to his combative
Yeah.
capacity. Yes or no?
Okay. Emotional restraint. Let's say emotional
It's a
restraint
yes or no
limits.
question.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. So
Okay,
emotional
so nice
restraint.
dodge. That's gonna be dodge number one.
Yeah, sure. So emotional restraint limits willingness to
You did me. That's
deploy
dodge number
lethal
two.
options. Yeah, emotional restraint limits a willingness to deploy lethal options, and chakra decline limits duration and technique sustainability.
So those
So
are
none
all
of those
combative
things.
abilities.
Stop
Yes or no?
speaking. Stop
Combative
speaking. Stop
abilities. Yes
speaking.
or no?
None of those things entail
Dodge number
that the
four.
agent. None of those things entail that the agent lacks the relevant counters to defeat an opponent. They limit execution conditions, not theoretical
Yeah. So
dominance.
those are
So
all
that's
effective of
exactly.
combative capability. Hello.
They're what?
They're all affecting combative capability. If even if we grant everything you said that like all emotional shows us that he would not use like fatal attacks on Orochimaru because he doesn't kill a student, that still affects combative capability. I don't know why you're using that as some form of example to help you. That's still combative capabilities. That's stuff that he would do in combat. Those are all affected. Age would also affect him. It would affect his endurance. That's also
Okay, so
combat.
no, yeah, okay, hold on. Yeah, that's fine. You're wrong about like you're right about you're right about factors of affect combative capability. That's fine. Like that's I don't care. Like
You should
you're
care.
still wrong about what follows from that. Affecting combative capability does not entail inferiority in total combat
That's not
power.
my claim.
Nor does it license the scaling jump you're literally trying to jump and make. So you're collapsing again two distinct layers into one. Yes, age, chakra depletion, or emotional restraint and fatigue affect combative capability, but that is not being disputed, you idiots. So what you are
Yo,
failing
why
to
is he
track
getting mad, bro?
is which layer of
All right.
capability they affect. So there are two different things, and I'm gonna try to like be my bad for calling you an idiot. There are two different things. Theoretical capability set, that's the first thing, and that's just gonna mean like what techniques, counters, and win conditions an agent possesses in principle. And the second would just be operational execution windows. And this would just mean like whether the agent can like safely. I'm not gonna lie, like that laughing shit like really is annoying. I'm gonna have to mute you. I'm sorry, but like please stop doing that. So it's operational execution windows are just basically whether the agent can safely, reliably, or maybe sustainably deploy those tools in in the moment. So your entire argument literally treats any reduction of in layer two, which is like operational execution windows, as proof that the layer one, which is theoretical capability sets, like does not exist. That's just false.
Can you
Because
answer a question for me?
Hiruzen's age, chakra limits, and Hiruzen's age and chakra limit restricts, like it just restricts his execution window, and they
Okay.
do not erase his technique access.
That's not okay. Let me ask you a question. Maybe like it will make it more understandable for someone on your level. So let's say Hiruzen, Hiruzen, all of his current conditions, his age, his emotional like capabilities, his emotions clouding him, his chakra diminishment, with all those conditions applied, does Hiruzen have the combative capacity to beat Orochimaru in a normal fight? Yes or no? With all of those conditions taken into account, all of them applied, can he kill Orochimaru? Yes or no?
Okay, so I mean, no,
It's
obviously,
just
but with
okay.
all
So
those
good,
conditions,
good. So he can't
hold
exactly.
on,
He
let me
can't.
respond. Let me respond. With all those
I wasn't
conditions
done. I wasn't
simultaneous,
done. I
let
was
me
just asking that
respond. I don't
question. I wasn't
care.
done. I
Like, I
wasn't
don't care. I
done.
don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I
Yo,
don't care.
look at him. He's
So
dodging,
no,
bro. He's running away.
with all those conditions simultaneously applied, Hiruzen does not have the operational capacity to reliably kill Orochimaru in a standard fight. That's fine. But the clarification you are doing, or you are collapsing, but these things must be separate. You're correct. The answer is no in an aspect. I don't care. But the reason is not Orochimaru is stronger in total
I'm not
combat
claiming
capacity,
that. I'm not
capability.
claiming that.
So it is just a constructive failure. Like,
I'm not claiming that.
what are you claiming?
I'm just explaining to you that the reason why he had to use that was because of the fact that he couldn't kill Orochimaru in that sense with all those conditions applied. All I'm trying to prove to you right now is that the reason why the sealing jutsu is used is because of that fact. Not because I'm not trying to like scale Orochimaru above Hiruzen and scale Itachi above Hiruzen. That's not what I'm trying to do. All I'm just trying to show you is that sealing jutsu is a backup thing that's used when the character can't defeat a character, which we see in the Hiruzen example.
Mm-hmm. This follows back to your example, and how did you refute what I said to you? Because I'm pretty sure I already
Because
gave you an example.
you're trying to you're shadow boxing an argument that I'm not making. You're trying to say that even if that's true, that doesn't somehow prove that Orochimaru is stronger than Itachi. Sorry, or Orochimaru is stronger than Hiruzen. I'm not arguing for that at all, so it doesn't matter. That's why you're shadow boxing. I'm literally just explaining to you that Orochimaru cannot be killed by Hiruzen in his current condition, and therefore he has to resort to the sealing jutsu. This translates over to the Kurama example because it means that in their current condition they could not kill Kurama, and therefore they had to resort to the sealing jutsu. And that translates to Itachi because Itachi said to have the capacity to kill Kurama, something the village does not. So therefore Itachi above Kurama, above Hiruzen and Minato, and the verse, like basically. That's my argument. That's my chain skull. Orochimaru has nothing to do with it.
All right, so let me respond. That's like okay, like it's still invalid because even if sealing is a backup used when killing is not viable, oh my gosh, keep on getting restricted. Give me a second.
I got restricted. I'm crying.
You know, like that shit is so disgusting, gang. Like, stop doing that. So, anyways, just don't unmute yourself. So, I don't think I'm shadowboxing, and I just think I'm isolating the only step that matters, really. So I fully accept your clarified claim, whatever. Like you said like jutsu or no sealing jutsu. Like it's when it's used whenever like a character can't kill the opponent under like given conditions, under those the given conditions. I think that's granted. I can grant you that. But like when you're trying to say, or when you're trying to add, and like when you're trying to add, therefore anyone stated to have the capacity to unalive Kurama must be above those like they must be above those who resorted to like sealing. That second thing right there, that's the problem that I'm having. The first one does not entail the second. So cannot kill under conditions does not establish a global ceiling. So you're like the Hiruzen example, like it just establishes like only one thing. It establishes that under severe constraints, Hiruzen could not kill Orochimaru. Therefore, he used sealing. That's good, and I accept it. I grant that. But notice this, right? So it does not establish that killing is the only relevant metric for superiority, and it also doesn't establish that anyone who could kill or unalive Orochimaru would therefore like scale to above Hiruzen in like all respects and all like categories there. Like that doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't establish like some form of like transvisity, like bro, I can't even say that word. Fuck, how do you say that word? Transvisity?
Sensitivity, bro.
Transitivity, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Transitivity, bro. Like I just got done reading that shit. I'm like, okay, whatever. Transitivity, right? And that just means like across like unrelated combat. Like you can't like establish a transitivity across like unrelated combat context. And you're like, I guess you're treating like the killability under constraints as like a universal benchmark. And like, I don't think Naruto does that. Like Naruto doesn't really do that. And like, what else did you bring up? You tried to conclude to Itachi as like, and you're committing. Okay, you tried to conclude to Itachi. Were you arguing the village could not kill Kurama and sealed him? That's like the thing.
Yeah, and that includes the Hiruzen without the constraints he had against Orochimaru, and because of that, Itachi would be above him.
Okay, so and then like next you say, okay, Itachi is stated to be able to kill and still makes Kurama, and therefore Itachi over the village, Minato, Hiruzen, and like in the verse, right? Or yes. Not the verse. We do the verse, right? Okay.
Like the village.
The village. Okay. It fails because there's three independent reasons that I'm saying. The stalemate doesn't equal demonstrated inevitability. So like,
what does that mean? Demonstrated inevitability.
It just means like risk or stalemates. Risk or stalemate.
You're saying a stalemate doesn't demonstrate a stalemate? What the hell? What the hell? You with the jelly belly?
Was I done? I wasn't done, right? Okay. So I'm saying risk or stalemate language, that type of language is not proof of the kill capacity. So like let's say a fight where both may die, like where a fight where both combatants may die is not evidence of superiority. It is just the evidence of danger. And like the second thing we can call like the second thing is just conditional single point or single agent combat doesn't equal crisis containment. And that just means the village's inability to kill Kurama or unalive Kurama. I need to stop saying kill, to unalive Kurama under like evacuation and like collateral damage constraints or whatever may be the case. All those things, these things do not scale to a single combat hypothetical or any single combat hypotheticals. Like those things are just different problem spaces. And like there's like, and even if Itachi could unalive or Kurama in like some isolated scenario, whatever, it still does not follow that he exceeds a collective operating under like fundamental or under like fundamentally different constraints and like any like power relations. These things don't really transfer in that way. So you're literally like the rule that you're trying to imply, we're not necessarily rule, like your target argument, it just relies on like some form of like unstated premise or rule. Like if A cannot kill X and B can, then B is above A in like a total combat capability. That's like, that rule just never endorses, like it's never endorsed in Naruto, and it's just contradicted repeatedly by like the existence of like sealing, BFR, binding, suicide escapes, like mutual destruction outcomes or whatever. Like Naruto's particularly, like they don't rank superiority by like simply killing like feasibility alone. Like, and honestly, like we could restate like cleanly, like without like any friction here. Like yes, sealing is used when killing is not viable under the condition. But no, that does not establish a power hierarchy, and no, like that doesn't really scale. It doesn't scale Itachi above the village, and no, that does not touch Hiruzen versus Itachi.
Hey, bro, you good, bro? Like it took you like 2 deep breaths to get that one word out, bro. So are you just okay? Just to translate like that babble into like basic language, are you just trying to say that the conditions that the villagers had was that they had to evacuate the people and to minimize damage? Is that what you're saying? Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Like let me like extrapolate for like 2 seconds. I don't want to like go
Oh
on a
my
tangent. My
God.
bad. Look. I'm just saying the villagers were not trying to like have a clean 1v1 and fight. That's it.
Yeah, they were obviously jumping him. That's a significant advantage, even if there was that crisis aversion. So also like the village was kind of evacuated at least, but either way, we see like the majority of the villagers like do fight. For example, we see like a flashback with Iruka's parents in part 1, and because of that, the entire combative capability. So I don't think the crisis thing would be that relevant because of the fact that they have this immense advantage of all the villagers teaming up to fight him, which is also said in the in the manga panel that I sent you, and also just because of that, the ceiling thing, like you were talking about, also being translated into power and stuff. That was literally my initial point. I was literally trying to explain to you that in Naruto, it's not just about basic physical strength because you're trying to bring that up. And I was trying to explain to you that all manner of jutsu abilities are included in combative capability. And because of that, that's why I'm also translating it here when they talk about Itachi and they say we might end up killing each other, or at the very least we'd hurt each other badly. That would include all manners of the jutsu because that's how in Naruto things are taken into account. That's how for example, the academy is taken into account. That's how people fight. That's how people do stuff. So because of that, clearly, like all that taken into account, it's pretty evident that Itachi is just overall stronger than Kurama, and also all the conditions and constraints that you applied to both Kurama and the Hiruzen example are clearly negated here, and they don't matter. And because of both of those conditions being completely negated in every single example you gave, I just think that like there's nothing to debunk my transitive argument that if Hiruzen by himself can't defeat Kurama in a conventional fight, and Itachi can, then it's pretty evident there that Itachi's stronger than Hiruzen. Like, it's not that difficult of an argument to understand. You good, bro? Hello?
My bad. I actually didn't even fucking notice I was muted. I'm an idiot. So I mean, I don't think the transitive like step. My bad. I don't think
The
the
fuck?
transitive step. like it still fails. Like that step still fails. Like so the team advantage thing, like it doesn't really like you're thinking you keep saying like even like with evacuation, like the village still has this form of like this huge advantage because like everyone like is fighting Kurama, right? Like that doesn't really imply the village was trying or even able to defeat Kurama by combat. Like and the mistake that you're making is that numbers don't really like numbers don't linearly translate to effectiveness against like against a biju per se. Like what villages I mean, what the village was doing, like they were basically delaying, distracting, evacuating, buying time, or preventing further spread. Like that's not, and also we have to take into account like the view on these. Who's requesting? We have to take into account like the view on Biju. Like, they're obviously not trying to be like eradicated immediately and obviously put into like a baby or something like that, which sounds crazy, but put it into somebody, you know. But okay, but moving on, like there's like 1,000 Genin like throwing kunais at like at a hurricane. Like that doesn't mean that the city was more competitive, like
Yeah, I
or
agree.
like
There's light
in
hitters,
a
but there's
combative
also heavy
capability
hitters. Like
than the
Hiruzen,
hurricane.
Hiruzen's a heavy hitter. You would agree to that, right? Because for
I
one,
mean,
the
say
statement
it
says
again. What?
verbatim that they were trying to fight him. And two,
Hmm?
Hiruzen would be a heavy hitter. Yeah, I agree. There's a Genin throwing Kuna, but that doesn't matter because I'm trying to explain to you that those people, quote unquote, are evacuated isn't true because they're fighting alongside the village. Unless maybe you're talking about like the children, which we don't even really know the context, but like excluding like little baby children to become a minority of the population, the rest of them are Genin that are fighting, and because of that they would all be attacking Kurama based upon this statement. I'm telling you that Hiruzen would be a heavy hitter and that Minato would also be another heavy hitter. And we know from this statement, like we don't know the full context of it, but we know that everyone, including Minato and Hiruzen, were there. So Minato and Hiruzen jumping it took Minato
No,
to sacrifice his life.
but like even if the villagers were fighting, and even if here Hiruzen or like Minato were heavy hitters, like say I like hypothetically I concede to that, like bro, my bad. I keep on getting distracted by like notifications. Like you're saying that they were fighting, but that doesn't mean they were attempting the kill condition. Like yes, villagers fought. Yes, Shinobi engaged Kurama, but none of that entails that the operative objective was to defeat Kurama by combat. So in Naruto, like engagement doesn't always equal in a
Okay, so
win
what do you think the
condition.
village was trying to do then? Like just a
They
good
were
question.
yeah, they were you said what?
What were the
No, I
villagers
heard
trying to
that. You
do?
said something
What
like right after that.
like what was Hiruzen trying to do? I said there's a question. Like I didn't
Oh,
say
okay,
anything
okay.
else.
Oh, you said there was a question. My bad. I thought I heard something else. Okay.
Okay.
Well, apparently they were like, well, not apparently they were stalling Kurama, redirecting damage and buying time and like preventing further like
Can
spread
you
and
prove
also
that
creating
using part one
openings for
knowledge?
containment. Hmm?
Can you prove that using part one knowledge?
Can I prove that using part one knowledge?
Yeah, like based upon the statement I provided. Can you prove that using part one knowledge?
I mean, yeah, I could probably. Yeah, let me see. Hold on. Only part one knowledge. I would say using part one knowledge. Fuck, bro. Can I
Yeah,
prove that using
exactly.
part
That's
one
what I thought.
knowledge?
And like you can't do that. So I don't know why you're making that assumption. So
Hold
yeah,
on.
like just based
That
upon
was
the
chapter like
statement.
500, right?
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
hold on. You
part
can't
two.
even prove the opposite. Like,
I
wait,
just
hold
used the
on. I
statement.
can. Wait, hold on. Relax.
I
You
just
can't
used the
even
semantics
prove
of the
the
statement.
opposite using the part one knowledge, though.
I
That that,
just
that wait, that symmetry,
I can use
the
this.
asymmetry is decisive, though. Wait, what?
No,
Because like,
no, that's not true
wait.
because
Hold
I
on,
can use
hold
the
on, hold on,
semantics
hold
of the
on.
statement.
Semantics is what describe why.
The statement, yeah, they're saying that the entire village tried to fight this guy. Normally, when we look at a statement like that, to fight someone is to mean to combat them, and because of that, unless you're making extra added assumptions, which isn't as parsimonious as just the claim that, yeah, these guys try to fight him, and then this one ninja, their champion, risked his life to fight him. Because of that, yeah, it's pretty clear that we just know that these villagers try to fight Kurama, and it took Minato to sacrifice his life. So, unless you're saying, oh, they were trying to redirect damage or something, which you could never prove, and you just basically showed us that you couldn't prove that. Therefore, I just think that my point is stronger and more parsimonious to believe that Itachi is stronger than Hiruzen.
Yeah, no, I don't agree.
Yeah, you can
Uh,
think that.
Yeah, so like stop speaking, please. So okay, so you're literally still. I mean, that's still overreaching because like the fight doesn't really equal attempted lethal resolution. Still, like yeah, the statement says the village fought Kurama because I'm looking at it right now. The statement says the village fought Kurama, but like the word or that word is like doing. But okay, so in part one, like that fight covers like fights cover like or stalling, repelling, distracting, containing, and buying time. We see this with the shooting exam situation right after the shooting exam. So it doesn't automatically mean attempted to defeat by killing. So you're already adding an extra assumptions. Like if they fought him, they attempted to kill him. So that's already an extra assumption. You're an idiot. Like that's not parsimony. Literally goes against you.
Parsimony goes against me because it's an extra assumption. I mean, no, not really. We can look at the statement again, and we can see that, for one, we can just ask the same question. If they're fighting him, they're trying to do something, which is either A, defeat him or subdue him with strength. And two, we can look at the semantics of the statement. We see what Minato did, which is literally try to imprison his soul. Therefore, there's some form of fatal or some killing intent just based upon the semantics of the statement. And because of that, it's more reasonable to say that they were fighting him with the intent to kill or the intent of like fatally subdue him. And because of that, I just think my point is stronger, and it's not like some
No,
stalling
no,
thing that you're
no,
bringing.
no, I don't know.
Okay, so can you
That's
debunk
bad.
that?
Like,
Can you debunk the semantics, please?
yeah, like relax. Oh, hold on, bro. I gotta unfollow you, bro. I accidentally followed you, bro.
You follow me, you're a fan. You follow me, bro?
What?
You follow me?
That's so lame, bro. Okay, bro. Anyways, but like, don't unmute yet, bro. That shit was so lame. But look though. Like you're saying, if they're fighting him, it must be the case, or like they must be trying to kill or overpower him. That shit is just false because you're you literally presented like a forced dichotomy. You're saying A would mean like, oh, defeat him by killing, and B would be subdue him with strength. That dichotomy is exhaustive in part one Naruto because there's a third option that explicitly instantiated and repeatedly emphasized in the context. So C, like instead of A and B, we can have C, which means contain and neutralize without relying on damage outputs. So the option exists independently of killing or overpowering. It is not a subset of either. So Funjitsu, which I was saying earlier, right? Funjitsu is not subduing with strength, quote unquote. It is a rule based. It's basically like a rule based containment that bypasses strength comparisons altogether. All that altogether. So basically, your premise in saying, oh, if they are fighting, they must be trying to kill or unalive or unapower or overpower, right? That's already false because the text gives a counter example in the same event. And secondly, Minato's sealing does not imply unaliving intent because you're arguing that imprisoning Kurama's soul implies fatal or unaliving intent. That's just incorrect because in part one, sealing a biju is explicitly non-equivalent to unaliving it. Like Kurama is not destroyed, he's not erased. He just continues to exist, and he also continues to exert influence later in the story, even in part one. I got restricted, but listen. So basically, let me click this. I got restricted. My bad. So I mean, okay. So, I mean, sealing is just a containment, not an execution in an aspect, right? So, like intent, we have to talk about the intent in this aspect. So, intent matters only insofar as the outcome matches the intent. So, the outcome here is there's a permanent neutralization without destruction. That is not lethal intent. That is literally containment intent. If this were killing intent, Kurama would not persist. What are you going to ask me to prove Kurama persists? Like,
I mean, for one, you just mistracked my argument completely. So like, nice one again. But for what? Yeah, like so. There's a few issues with this. So you don't think that imprisoning someone's soul is like would completely incapacitate them or subdue them, or would not be some form of fatal intent to completely destroy the demon? Yes or no? Because it says the suffering people
my
gather.
bad.
The
Ask
great
your question
shinobi
again, bro.
clans
I
to
got to take
fight
a
this.
piss. Hold on.
Okay.
I got to take a piss, bro. I'm not
Oh
gonna lie.
my god, bro.
All right, bro. Okay, I won't piss, bro. Ask your question, bro.
Yeah, good. Okay, the suffering people gather. The great shinobi clans to fight this man is finally risking his life. One ninja was able to
Nigga, is this a
imprison his soul.
question or are you telling me a story?
I'm literally gonna get to the question. Relax there, buddy.
All right, my
I'm
bad, bro.
telling you that do you think that imprisoning someone's soul would either A, be an indication of a fatal attack, or B, some form of manner to subdue them completely and holistically? Do you think there's something outside of that dichotomy that's entailed by imprisoning its soul?
Well, I think that like it's just gonna be B, which is just a method to subdue
Exactly.
completely
So
and
nice
holistically. Hold
concession.
on, hold
Hold on,
on.
wait, no,
This
let
doesn't
me
help
finish.
you. This doesn't help you. No, this doesn't help you. So
Yo, stop
holistic. I'm
muting
not.
me.
I'm
Let me
not
finish,
finished
let me
answering
finish.
your question. You answered your question. I'm not finished answering your
I
question.
just wanted a yes or no.
I'm not
Like,
finished
I didn't want the
answering your
ramble.
question.
I
I'm not
didn't want
finished
the
answering
ramble.
your
I didn't want the
question.
ramble.
I'm
I
not
just wanted
finished
a
your.
yes or no.
I don't care what you want, gang.
I
Stop
wanted a yes or
speaking.
no. I don't want the
Stop
ramble.
speaking. I don't
I
care.
don't want
So
the ramble.
listen. I don't care. I'm gonna speak over
Yo,
you.
look,
So
okay,
listen.
let him
So
ramble, bro. Let him
listen. It's
ramble.
just
Let him
going to be
embarrass himself even
B.
more.
Yeah, so it's just going to be B, right? And in B, it is just going to be a method to subdue completely and like
He's yapping.
holistically. holistically and not like a fatal attack. So treating soul imprisonment as a lethal intent is just a category error in part 1. So listen, the problem as to why it fails in part 1 terms is because a fatal attack has one defining property. It means that the target ceases to exist or is destroyed. In part 1, Kurama continues to exist after sealing. Kurama retains consciousness. Kurama later literally interacts with Naruto, and Kurama's chakra persists. All of these things alone is sufficient to falsify quote unquote fatal attacks or whatever may be the case. So imprisonment that preserves the target is literally just by definition not lethal. And why I said B was correct in part 1 terms, because sealing accomplishes something in combat, right? Or sealing accomplishes something that combat can't. So it removes the threat permanently and bypasses durability and regeneration and scale. It neutralizes the things that we call like the target without requiring dominance and output. So that is holistic subdual. That is not killing, not overpowering either. So
Are you done with the ramble?
that's literally why sealing. That's literally why sealing is used against Biju in part 1. That's literally in part 1, and why your argument is literally fucking ass. Why this matters for your argument is because you're literally trying to use soul imprisonment to smuggle. You're trying to use soul imprisonment to smuggle lethal and overpowering intent. But literally, once we establish that it is containment and not execution, your literal semantic leverage there, it's ass crack booty juice. So because now we can look at the chain. The chain literally looks like the village fought Kurama is the first chain, and then second it goes on combat engaged outcomes, or a combat engagement occurred, right? And the decisive resolution was containment, not killing. So that does not imply failed kill attempt, and it does not imply insufficient strength, and it does not imply a power ceiling that Itachi exceeds. It only implies that containment is the correct solution to a persistent threat. So to answer you plainly, dumbass, imprisoning Kurama's soul is not a fatal attack. And not yes, I agree that it is a method of total subdual and neutralization.
Okay. So yeah, that wasn't my claim at all. I never claimed that. I literally gave you a dichotomy of what it can entail. How could that be my claim? Like, that's just a mistrack of fucking doom and despair. But also, the claim that I was trying to make, and the reason why I brought that up, was that if Minato's intention was that probably translates to the villagers as well, because they're either coordinating with Minato or doing something along those lines. So because of that, it also is probably the case that either the villagers are either trying to fatally subdue it or subdue it holistically to the point where it can't fight back. And therefore, unless the villagers have a Reaper Death Seal shoved up their ass, which is like this S tier forbidden technique according to Hiruzen, it's probably the case that they were trying to use their physical means to try to subdue this thing. And given that you conceded that it's either a fatal subduing or a total subduing of the monster, it must reason the case that they're trying to use their fighting skills to subdue it, not some weird distraction thing, not something of the other nature. And therefore, because of that, it's probably the case that Kurama is just much stronger than these villagers, and they had to resort to this like desperate last resort because of that. And given all of that, the whole Biju stuff is irrelevant, because the manner that someone like Shukaku is sealed isn't the same as the manner that Kurama was sealed here by Minato. So because of all of that, it probably just stands to reason that they try to fight Kurama, and they all lost fighting to Kurama until Minato stepped up and did a Reaper Death Seal on it to seal it. And because of that, it stands to reason that their combative capability was not great enough to hurt Kurama. Sorry, not hurt Kurama. To either A, fatally subdue Kurama, or B, just completely and totally subdue Kurama, given that they probably have the same intentions as Minato. And given all of that together, someone like Itachi, who's stated to have the capacity to do that, should be stronger than Hiruzen and Minato. So can you please debunk that argument without a fucking 10-minute ramble?
That was literally long as fuck. Like, you literally just rambled long as fuck. So let me respond. Excuse me, sorry. So listen, your conclusion still fails because you're literally inserting a single false bridge, and you're literally treating, quote unquote, they tried to subdue Kurama with combat and failed as equivalent to Kurama is categorically stronger than them in total competitive capability. And then you're trying to smuggle in a second unsupported premise that Itachi is stated to be able to do what they could not. Neither step is established in part 1. So what I am granting, dude, what the fuck is wrong with this idiot? So listen, what I'm
bro. Why he tweaking, bro?
So relax yourself. Relax yourself. So
Relax,
I'm
bro. You don't sound
granting.
like you're relaxed,
Relax
bro.
yourself, bro. Relax yourself. So
I'm
I am
calm, bro.
granting. Can you like just relax? Stay on mute so I can
I'm
get my point
relaxed,
off.
bro.
I didn't
Nah,
interrupt
bro.
you. Stay on mute so I can get my point off.
Is he trying to pack, bro? Is he getting tight, bro? It's cool, bro.
Pack? Did you say pack?
Yeah, that's what he
Gang,
tried to
you
do,
gotta
bro.
get off Discord for a little bit. That shit is lame as fuck.
Yeah, look at
Stop speaking, bro. Please just stop speaking so we can have a debate. You're
we're
trying to
having a
duck this.
debate.
You're trying to Spurg to duck out of his ass whooping. Stop doing that.
There's no
Relax
ass.
yourself, bro. Relax yourself. Can you relax yourself so I can respond?
Relax, bro.
Can you relax? Just stay on mute, bro. Just stay on mute. You're
Yo,
dead
why
as
is
an
he
idiot.
perma-using me, bro?
Just stay on
If
mute
you're,
so I
gonna
can
make a silly
respond.
point, I had to
Respond. Let me respond.
respond. No,
Let me respond.
you just said I didn't prove something that
Respect, like, dude, like you're dead ass annoying. So listen,
you
okay,
can think that.
I'm granting your intent alignment. That's the only thing I'm granting. So it still doesn't help you. So let's say,
Look at him perma-using me. Why
oh
is he
my god, what
perma-using
is
me,
wrong
guys?
with this guy, yo? What is wrong with this guy?
Yo, why is he
Like,
perma-using
is
me, bro?
something wrong with you?
No, nothing's wrong with me. I just think you're getting slammed right now. The chat thinks you're also getting slammed right now, so it's okay, bro.
The chat thinks I'm getting slammed. Primus,
Yeah.
Hermes, the nigga I already fucking beat. Stop
Whoa,
speaking.
you can't say the N-word, bro. When did he beat Hermes, bro? I don't think he beat Hermes, bro.
I already
think he beat
fucking like beheaded that nigga, and I asked him to debate with judges, and he would literally
Is
reject.
Hermes Shinra?
No,
Hermes is not
I
Shinra. What are you
already
talking
beat
about?
Shinra. I already beat Shinra.
Yo, this guy did not beat nobody, bro.
I literally beat Shinra, and I got hella
Yeah, you
judgment
did
from
not
that.
beat no Shinra, bro.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
Yo,
I
be
already beat
honest, bro. Is
Shinra.
this guy beating Shinra, bro?
I already beat Shinra.
Yeah, maybe in like Uzbekistan, bro. Like, you never beat anyone.
You know there's a good game. I don't know why you're lying. Like,
He thinks I didn't beat Shinra. This nigga's ass. Sorry, so
Yeah, who is the
so
judge?
stay on mute so I can respond to that shit.
Nah, but I
multiple
already
people
explained to you.
judge
I already
VOD.
provided the evidence, and you said I didn't give it.
Yeah, you didn't. So listen, it's
I did.
unsupported. It's unsupported, you idiots. Like I didn't
This
like.
guy-
Oh my god, I said it's unsupported. Like when did I say
It's not-
evidence? When did I say the word evidence exactly? I said it's unsupported. You're not
No, I said
tracking.
I
You're an idiot. So shut
provided
up.
this evidence.
Okay, I don't think you did. So let me respond. Stop fucking speaking. Goodness gracious. So
Yeah, you're
listen.
making too many points.
Yeah. So listen. Stop speaking. Goodness gracious.
I'm not gonna speak if you keep perma-using me. Silly.
Stop speaking. Stop speaking.
Look at him, bro.
Stop speaking.
It's okay,
Okay,
bro.
listen. So listen, when you say they tried to subdue with combat, that does not imply combat was the intended solution. So like there's a precise distinction that you keep literally collapsing. So intent would just be Kurama must be neutralized, and method must be what it would ask the question what actually accomplishes that. So the village can share. Stop speaking. So the village can share Minato's intent while still lacking the correct method. That does not make sealing a quote unquote desperate last resort. It just literally makes it the only method that actually satisfies the intent. So in part one,
So what's
Bijus are
Hiruzen trying to do then?
so in part one, Bijus are explicitly shown to regenerate, persist, and continue to
How do you debunk this?
continue existing even when damaged. So trying to subdue Kurama with damaging it is not difficult. It is literally a structurally misaligned with the goal. So that's literally bad. So that does not mean that the village is weak. And it literally just means that the problem is not solvable by output. So like when you say like no one else has like the Reaper Death Seal, that literally just backfires and punches you in your own face because you're arguing that because only Minato had an S tier sealing technique, everyone else must have been trying to subdue Kurama by force and failing due to like inferiority. And it doesn't follow from that. So it only shows that it only shows that the correct tool was rare. It specifically was rare, and the solution was specialized. And it also shows that the power alone was insufficient by design.
So what was Hiruzen trying to do?
This does not establish that Kurama, as quote unquote stronger than the village, is a scalar. It does not establish that Kurama as stronger than the village is in a scalar sense. It only establishes that the threat requires a specific rule breaking technique, not higher numbers.
So what was the rest of the village trying to do? If it says fight, what was the rest of the village trying to do?
If it says fight,
yeah, the statement says fight. What was Hiruzen the rest of the village trying to do?
I mean, it could just be the case that they were trying to neutralize Kurama as a threat, not to secure a solo kill. Shut the fuck up.
And what means this is a dodge of doom? And what?
Okay, so like I was saying, they were trying. We can say that they were trying to neutralize. We can say that they were trying to neutralize Kurama as a threat, not to secure a solo kill win condition or a solo kill condition by raw combat. We can take this. So if the text says the village fought Kurama and the village, If the text says the
How are
village
they
fought
neutralizing
Kurama,
it?
if the text says the village fought Kurama, the village was trying to halt the rampage, reduce destruction, protect civilians, and create openings for containment and enable the
Yo, is he
only
not?
permanent solution that exists in part one, which is sealing. So that is what fight, quote unquote, operationally means in the context. And that's why your lethal reading literally sucks ass, because fighting does not equal kill condition attempts. In
Not
part
like
one,
the.
Naruto, quote unquote, fight covers engagement actions short
Yeah,
short
this
of
guy.
lethal resolutions. So listen, stalling, suppression, diversion, and restraint all count as fighting. Literally all count as fighting. So the text never literally states, and you're never showing that the text states, oh, they attempted to kill Kurama and failed. The decisive action defines the objective there. So what actually ends the event in
Not my
sealing,
plan.
what actually events the alien the ending the event in sealing, is that if the objection were lethal defeat, the narrative would show lethal escalation as the solution. It does not do that. So it shows containment as the resolution, or as the solution, not resolution, as the solution that tells you, that literally just tells you, like that tells you what the fight was for per se. So method, like the method selection, matters more than the head count, that you keep on mentioning the head count there. It doesn't matter.
Literally.
So even with heavy hitters present, you said Minato and Hiruzen were heavy hitters. Even with those two present, or any heavy hitters present, and damage-based subdual is like structurally misaligned against a regenerating Biju, engaging to manage a threat while enabling sealing is rational, not a confession to inferiority. So when
Yeah,
part one says that
yo,
the
like
village fought Kurama,
she's rambling.
it just means that they engaged to neutralize the crisis until containment
No
could
way.
not could not be executed.
Yo, you just repeated yourself 50 times. Like every single claim I've like already addressed it. Like the whole thing about subduing I've already addressed it. The whole thing about Kurama I've already addressed it. You just repeated like literally every single point because you know like you have no escape from this. I literally explained to you that it doesn't have to be the case that they're trying to kill it. I literally gave you two dichotomies for it. And I'm literally explaining to you that if it's the case that they can't do it, then it's probably the case that given the statement of them trying to fight it, it's probably not the other stuff that you provided, such as the chaos control and all that, because I already explained that to you. So I don't know why you're bringing it up again when I've already repeated myself 1,000 times for that. You keep bringing up that, like every single point, like has already been addressed in some way, shape, or form, and you keep doing that. I'm literally just trying to tell you right now, if the villagers don't have a sealing jutsu, and we know they're trying to fight it in some way, shape, or form, it's probably the case that it relates to some form of combative capability. Given that it took one ninja to use its soul-based abilities to attack Kurama, it's probably the case that the rest of the village were also trying to fight him using combative means, given the nature of the statement. Given it says that this clan was trying to fight this menace and that they all combined to fight it, the whole thing about, oh, it could be to like control damage, it could control like chaos and stuff like that, doesn't matter. The reason why I was asking you those questions and you just try to extrapolate for hours upon hours, I was literally explaining to you that if they're trying to neutralize the threat, how are they trying to neutralize the threat? And you just never answered that question. You just gave all these possibilities. You just kept saying over and over and over, oh, like, let me just neutralize the threat. Let me just neutralize, like, they're trying to neutralize the threat. I've already granted you that, but how are they trying to neutralize the threat? You have not answered that question once. So explain it to me again. How are they trying to neutralize the threat? In what manner is Hiruzen trying to neutralize the threat? What was Hiruzen doing? Was it not fighting Kurama? If you're gonna claim that he's stalling himself for
Oh
enough,
my
you need to prove
goodness.
that. You
Okay,
not yet to
okay,
prove that. You just repeat
okay,
yourself.
okay. Like he's talking about repeating people. Like he's talking about people repeating themselves. And this nigga like literally just repeated the same question 5 times. So listen, they were neutralizing
Because
Kurama
you
by
didn't answer
direct.
it.
Okay, so listen, they were neutralizing Kurama by direct combat suppression, not by attempting a decisive kill or total subdual
Yeah,
through
nice
raw
concession.
output. So stop speaking. So listen. And that's okay. So let's okay. So listen. So they were doing 3 concrete things we can talk about, all of which are literally just combative, and none of which are literally just like a kill condition. So the first thing we could talk about, I guess, is just let's say like the binding, the binding, restraining, and interfering with like the actions there, like that techniques that hold, push back the target. We've seen that with Enma, right? And redirect. Techniques that hold, push back the target. We've seen that with Enma, right? And redirect. We've seen that with the flying right to the bijous, and we can talk about pin. Enma did that as well, I think. Sorry. disrupt chakra flow or targeting. And we can talk about applying damage and pressure to limit movement and attacks. And these are just high level ninjutsu's barriers, summonings, and coordinated assaults where we can say this is to slow Kurama, redirect his attacks, force repositioning, and prevent uninterrupted rampage. That is just combat suppression, and it's not finishing. It's not a finishing attack. So those two things, they're like those two things are combative actions that aim in the aspect to reduce agency. It's not to overpower to death or whatever may be the case, right? And like we could talk about like creating the execution window for the only permanent solution. Like everything the village did functioned to do keep Kurama occupied or prevent total collapse or buy time and positioning. So like Minato per se could like execute the ceiling. That's what was needed. That is not like chaos control, quote unquote, in the abstract. Like that is just direct combat engagement with a specific tactical goal. And why that does not like give you what you want it to give you, because you keep trying to force the inference that if they were using combative means and still needing ceiling, then Kurama over the village in total combative capability. That's the inference that you're trying to use. But that still doesn't follow. And the reason why it doesn't follow is because the village's combat actions were not aimed at producing a terminal outcome. They were aimed at enabling a terminal method that combat can't produce. So they were fighting to suppress Kurama, not fighting to finish Kurama. So those two things are different goals. There's a distinction there. So listen, my appeal was approved. Thank you. Okay, so like the sentence that like literally like kills the transitive argument there is that like the village was using combat to create conditions for sealing, not using combat for like as the sealing substitute. So once that is true, once that like statement is true, right? Or that sentence is true, everything else you want to infer literally dies, because then it is false that combat failed as a method, and it's also false that the village attempted and like lost a kill condition, and anyone who can quote unquote fight Kurama therefore exceeds the village. That's also false. And like why Itachi did not scale or does not scale to this, because even if I grant it to be the case that villagers use combat and heavy hitters were present, or combat alone like did not resolve Kurama, right? Like you still don't get that Itachi can do, like you still don't get like Itachi can like do what they could not. Like you're still not proving that, because in part 1 Itachi is not shown to seal Kurama, and he's not shown to permanently subdue Kurama, and he's not stated to have a finishing method against Kurama. So the final answer to what you're saying, there's no repetition. It's just they neutralize Kurama by suppressive combat to enable the sealing that happened there. So like they didn't do it by like not by attempting to kill him and not by attempting to overpower him like outright. So once that is understood, I think your transitive scaling claim is just, it has no foundation there.
Oh my God. So you're hung up on the wrong thing again. You keep getting hung up on the whole fatal thing. I already explained to you that's not what I'm talking about. If it's the case that you're trying to fight it to neutralize it in some way, shape, or form, and I've already explained that to you, and you grant that, then it's the case that the only way they could defeat him was in the end when finally Minato pulled up and sealed it. And there's this emphasis on the word finally. I'm telling you that Itachi either killing or stalemating Kurama is a manner of neutralizing it. And because of that, it is the case that the rest of the village would scale below Itachi because they could not be able to neutralize it, regardless if it's fatal or not. I already explained this to you. I already gave you the dichotomy. You just can't track that for some god forbidden reason, and you keep repeating yourself. In fact, like after this, I'm willing to conclude here because I don't think you're addressing anything at all, and you're not giving a proper debunk to the actual arguments. You just keep assuming this.
All right, yo, I got such a